So today, we're going to be learning about the journey of the water that is in the earth. First, we're going to look at the importance of water. Water is one of the essential things that organisms in other parts of the earth need to live. Without water, life on earth is not possible. The process by which water moves continuously through the earth and the atmosphere is the water cycle. Water condenses in the clouds, precipitates down to earth, and then evaporates back up. It's a continuous and ongoing cycle that is a natural earth process. We are going to break down each step of the water cycle to gain a better understanding. This is just a more simplified version of the water cycle, so it's easier to see each step for us to walk through. First, we're going to focus on evaporation. If you have ever seen a puddle after it has rained and then come back later to it being gone or dried up, that is an example of evaporation. Your first thought may be that the puddle just vanished and the water is gone, but that's not the case. Evaporation is the process of liquid water being heated up by the sun and being transformed into a gas. Therefore, that liquid water that you saw in the form of a puddle is now a gas that is transferred into the atmosphere. We call this gas water vapor. This leads me to the next steps, which are condensation and precipitation. Have you ever had a cup of cold water and then the next thing you know, there's water on the outside or the bottom of the glass? This is because of the process of condensation. Condensation is the process of gas water vapor cooling back into a liquid form of water. So here we see the condensation on a table and on a glass. Condensation also occurs to form clouds. Clouds will eventually get too heavy and then precipitate, which leads us to the next step of precipitation, which is also in this graphic here. Precipitation is when the cooled down water vapor from the clouds and atmosphere falls back into the ground. This can occur in many different forms such as rain, snow, sleet, hail, and even freezing rain. Here are a few pictures of precipitation in the world around us. We have snow, we have hail, and then in the bottom right corner we have rain, and then this is a graphic of a combination of each. Once precipitation occurs, the cycle can begin again by the precipitation being evaporated, which we see in these graphics right here. Now, the next aspect we have is runoff. Runoff is really as simple as it sounds. This occurs when the precipitation does not get soaked into the soil or evaporated, so it runs off of the land and collects in various bodies of water, such as oceans, lakes, rivers, and these are just a few examples of small versions of runoff, and like I said before, it will run off into another body of water. Now, this diagram also includes infiltration, which can sometimes be confused as percolation if an individual doesn't take care to learn the difference. However, we are going to be learning the difference today. So percolation is the process of filtering infiltrated water through soil particles and porous materials. It occurs in between unsaturated zone of soil and the saturated zone of soil. The importance of this is that it replenishes underground aquifers, which we will get to later in this presentation. Infiltration is the downward movement of water through the surface of the soil. It occurs closer to the soil surface and near the plant's roots and zones. The importance of this is that it replenishes soil moisture deficiency, which essentially just helps the soil retain the moisture that it gains. The last term we are going to talk about, like I said before, is an aquifer. An aquifer is an area of sediment that holds groundwater. So these are just a few examples of what aquifers can look like in real life and in graphics. So as you can see, we have sandstone, clay in a confined aquifer. So they have confined and unconfined aquifers. So this bottom right one is actually an unconfined and the top right is a confined. So you can see the difference between the two. Each of these parts of the water cycle play an important role into the Earth's processes. This is a continuous, ongoing cycle that is fueled by the sun, and we will always need it, and it will always be an important part of everyday life.